This episode of Super Pulp Science is brought to you by our new book, Dire Beasts, now available on Kickstarter. If you would like to be one of the exclusive backers of this amazing collection of horror stories, you've got to find it on Kickstarter before October 3rd.
Attention, citizens. It's time for Super Pulp Science.
This is Super Pulp Science, where we talk about how genre gets made. I'm GMB Kamichuk, and I'm here with my long-suffering co-host, known the world over as Chasing Artwork. It is none other than the birthday boy, Justin Curry.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank
Happy
you.
birthday. Wait, don't comment.
No, it ended.
It ended, yes.
Yeah, it's up in the public
It's
domain
finally
again.
in the public domain. You can say
I will
happy birthday
splice
on
it in. How about that?
Okay, fair.
We wish you the very happiest of birthdays.
God bless.
All the best, son.
Happy birthday
to you.
Happy birthday
to you.
Happy birthday,
dear Frank. Happy birthday to you.
We are freshly returned from the Ottawa Comiccon.
That's right. Yeah.
And we have a number of things we want to discuss with you today. Also on the show is, of course, producer extraordinaire Dan Vadeboncoeur
Hello.
and writer, letterer, all-around creative person, Lyndon Redchenka.
I'm just kind of hanging out in the background.
In the background,
I'm like, yeah, that way you guys can just lean into it.
because Justin came in hot to the studio, threw his bag down and said, I know what we're going to talk about. We had already decided what we were going to talk about before he got here. So we're now going to find out whether what you wanted to talk about and what we wanted to talk about is the same thing. Dear listener, we may fight it out for your amusement right here. I wanted to talk about one of the things that happens when that we've never done before is have a book on Kickstarter while we're also in public at shows.
Yes.
Is that on your list?
I have Ottawa on my list.
Ottawa in your list.
That was one of the highlights of Ottawa for me.
So when did the Kickstarter launch?
September 2nd.
Yeah.
And it's a month long, right? You're going a month? Okay.
But yeah, the book is done. So as part of my birthday was kind of great because I finished. Well, it's not finished yet. There's still tweaks, but Dire Beasts was mostly tied up on my birthday, so I get to say I have another book done before
Right.
I turn.
Oh, yeah. Before you get one more.
Because that was the same thing with Dragonity. I wanted it funded before my birthday, and it funded in the first 10 days of the Kickstarter. So I had a book, paid for, ready to go before.
We haven't quite made that with the
No.
Dire Beasts.
Oh, we're on our way. We're 80%, 83%.
83%.
And here's why I'm not at all nervous about that last little bit, because me, Sam, Zach are going to be in Edmonton in 2 weeks. And oh my God, promoting a Kickstarter in person is a whole different thing than advertising it online, because people are meeting the people behind it. And the fact that just that now the mystery of, are these people going to take my money and then never deliver?
That's right.
Evaporates.
So contextually for the dear listener, Dire Beasts is 14 short horror stories, all by different creatives. We have put it together as an anthology, not unlike we did Dead Work, which we also kickstarted, and that was a nice success. We had it at the show as a poster form that said, hey, we have a new Kickstarter. If you like our book or you're curious to back it, we will give you the equal value to whatever you back it at the show from the table as actual.
Oh, right. You were talking about this last episode. Yes.
Trying to figure out what that was.
So we...
Shut that off.
Yeah, it's off now.
It was Sam breaking in.
Sam.
It's Sam.
That Bing was SM Biko on the podcast. So that was a really interesting segue at the show, but I will also say this, as a person who's had quote-unquote legitimate books on the table at his table for a long time, it also had an unintended, unsuspected effect on my other books that I want to discuss a little bit, which was when people saw there was a poster that said, oh, you have a book on Kickstarter, they looked at all the other books and said, and with a little bit of disdain, I have to admit, said, oh, are all of these Kickstarted books?
Is that like that's worse than self-publishing?
I don't know. That's what let's discuss. Like I was having trouble unpacking.
Or was it maybe disbelief? Like, I can't believe you kickstarted all these books. Maybe something like that.
Well, maybe. No, it was more like, so there is a unfortunate patina that settles in over book publishing, which is if a book cannot pass the peer-reviewed process that is considered traditional publishing, that is probably not good enough to be in people's hands.
But then we've met some of these traditional publishers.
It's just, hold on. Hold on. And some of them are quite delightful.
Some of them are quite delightful.
Yes, but some of them are less delightful. The point I was going to make, though, is there is a sometimes correct and sometimes incorrect assumption that if your book is self-published in any way, it probably isn't good enough, or it was rejected by the powers that
Yeah, I think that the assumption is that you tried to get it published and they said no, and so you're just doing it yourself. That's what people think. Yeah.
And I felt some of that. Now, Ottawa, traditionally for me, as a show venue, is a very literate city. People like books in Ottawa. I found that to be true.
Claire was the first one to discover
to tell us this, yeah. And you can check out
commercial Postmortem on Ottawa.
Yeah, so good. And as a direct correlation with that, all of my Shakespeare-related art, all of my literary classics-related art, those are always the ones that I sell out of in Ottawa right away. Like that's where the drive is. So it's like people like books, and the people who found me were book lovers, but they were still caught in this paradigm of like, oh, are these all? These are just, did you trick me last year into buying a book that you self-published? And I told them that the books they were holding there, it just so happened the ones that were on the table were all from quote unquote traditional publishers also, right? But I found myself getting into the point, like, do I launch into the TED Talk about who owns what in publishing and how that works, that you'd rather have 90% of a small print run than you would 10% of a huge print run? No, I couldn't. So I felt myself holding back often.
And I like jumping into that too, just explaining a bit how, Comic-Cons have kind of been this like secret weapon in the self-publishing world, because prior to trade shows, if I printed a book, I sell 100 copies to my friends and family and local libraries and stuff. And then what do I do with the other, 1,900 books?
Yeah.
How do I get them out there? Do I go on the road and just go to every bookstore I can find in every library and every school? And then have a job on top of that? Like, how do you get those books out there without a distribution?
By the way, some people do exactly that.
People do that.
And wow, amazing.
So then going to Comic-Cons and being in rooms with thousands and thousands of people who are my demographic, who would, those are the people that would pick up my book in a library, in a school, in a bookstore, and then I get to sell it to them in person and gush about it while I'm doing it. And that's like the magic of selling books at conventions. So I'm hoping that us self-publishing books at conventions makes a bit more sense, and it doesn't have that stigma of like, oh, it's not good enough for a traditional publisher, and that's why you self-publish.
Well, I kind of, the snootiness related to any kind of gatekeeping, I'm sort of against too.
Sure.
Anyway, so I just feel like most people don't know how anything works.
Right.
Yes.
And that's not their fault.
Yeah.
Really. They just don't know how anything works.
And they assume, there's some, I don't want to say there's truth to the thing about the publishing, but because publishers are so invested, they do go through a lot of stuff. They only pick the best of the best that they get submitted. So yes, there is like a level of quality you get with publishers that you may not get with Kickstarter. And there's a risk that you take when you do a Kickstarter or whatever, when you buy a book. But when you guys are doing at conventions, you're just simply, here's my book I wrote, here's what it's about, talking to them, making the sell, and they're buying it in that moment based on that conversation.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming they're going to go home and read it and enjoy it, or maybe not, but then that's basically
I'm getting it signed by the artist, author.
Yeah, and that's part of it as well.
A fair likeness of the old man. Too modern a style for him, of course.
I'm afraid I'm not much of a painter.
I actually just yesterday turned down a traditional publishing deal because they told me that it would take 5 years before I would be able to use my work for anything else aside from their book. They didn't go for the 3 years? No, they actually clawed back the 3 years.
Oh, did he really?
They had originally said 7, and I said, well, that's too long because we would like to do something with this work before that. And they said, okay, well, how about 3? And I said, how about we chat about it tomorrow? And so we got on a call, and they said, we chatted about this as a company, and I can actually only offer you 5 years.
You should have accepted.
And I'm like, still no. So we didn't go with a traditional publisher for that reason, just to go into the traditional versus self-publishing.
And because they would own the rights, you could not do anything else with that.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. You could, but they would just be published by them. Like
no, I couldn't do anything with it.
Oh, is that not?
I would give them the files.
Yeah.
And they would choose what to do with those files for 5 years.
Okay. That's not good.
So
now you're shaking your head, Justin, but that's pretty common. Like
just shaking his head because he remembers what happened to him.
Well, no, but also like we're not going to name them, but I know the publisher that Linda's talking about, and like
this surprises me because they're incredible.
They're very creative driven, and like why would they do that? Like it seems like such a dick move, and if anybody's going to understand, they would understand why people who make their own books wouldn't want this in their contracts.
Yeah.
I think they're just trying to plan for the future. They want some stability. They want to have control over the properties.
But you're not.
It's probably standard across the board, I would think.
So there's a lot of things that are standard across the board. The Divine Right of Kings used to be standard across the board, but we can do better, right?
Yes.
And to be clear, they're an incredible publisher, and I hope that they have all the success. And they gave me their logic for why that is the way their contracts and operations work. But it just wasn't the right fit for the story because we had other plans that we had already have in motion for it.
Yeah.
That we couldn't put that on pause for 5 years.
Go into that logic a bit of like why? Why do they need exclusive rights?
So some of the reasoning they gave me was when they look at the traditional publishing market, a lot of publishers, and I've seen these in my contracts, and Gregory has also, will say that they want the rights to the work for the duration that the work that is being printed is in print, which is the traditional Watchmen issue, which is that Alan Moore signed an agreement to sell the Watchmen and give up his rights while that work remained in print. And
Dave Gibbons at that
and Dave Gibbons, yep.
Comics often didn't stay in print longer than a few years.
Okay.
And then the company that bought those rights has just made sure that that book stays in print in perpetuity.
Right.
So the rights
printing it, right.
never go back.
Yep.
So this publisher, to their credit, said that's unreasonable. We don't want to be like that. We respect creatives. The duration for our agreements reflects what we consider to be the life of the publication in question, which is a book like this we're going to print and sell, and we expect to be sold out of our copies of that print run within 5 years. And after that, everyone should get their rights back.
Okay.
And again, I'm not trying to create a debate on...
So this is based on experience of that publisher, what their normal timeline usually is. But let's face it, in this era and in comics specifically, but in this era generally, multiple versions of a thing is good for the thing.
That's what I was gonna bring up. Yeah, like even if that was your goal, Lyndon, to like compete with them, you couldn't. It'd be so hard because your book it's gonna look completely different. You guys go to completely different places. You're in a different part in the country. Like even if you wanted to like attack their sales with your sales, like I don't think that needle would ever get moved. So that argument, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a straw man argument.
What I see it is it's all about math, and they want to make sure they have a certain amount of profit they want to hit. They're going to print a certain amount of copies, and they want to hit that profit in 5 years. And so once they and they may have different ways to promote it or whatever, and they're going to work to make sure they sell all those copies in the 5 years, and then they will make the amount of money they plan to make.
Here's my unkind point of view on this.
Not a reflection of Lyndon's comments.
Not a reflection of Lyndon's comments.
I still would like to work with this publisher in the future.
We know this publisher. And
Does the publisher listen to this podcast?
In fact,
If the publisher listens to this podcast, and they know I would love to work with them in the future. Whenever it is that Gregory is about to say, does not reflect my views on the matter.
Oh my goodness. I have been in this conversation with many publishers before. I am not even in this conversation with the publisher that Lyndon is talking about. But in my mind, I have said, and if I can get into the meeting and have the meeting, I usually say, if you're worried that me as an individual can impact, as one person, impact the sales of the book, cut away the margins, how much are you
what does that
planning to sell? What does that say about you as an organization? If my 150 copies this year of this book are going to significantly impact. No, you're not doing a good enough job at your one stated purpose of publishing.
That's right.
Right. And so this is where sometimes people take great offense to that position, but I will just simply reiterate, like, what is your actual publishing plan and your sales plan, and how is it better than mine to visit 10 cities and promote the book, right?
Even a direct example. So Gregory and I did a book called Snow Troll's Daughter and Red and See-Through. And this is a book that on one side is my artwork, and then you flip the book and it's Gregory's artwork. So it's kind of like a double-sided book.
It's a fun little flip book.
It's a fun little flip book. And we go to a lot of the same cities, and we sell these both at our booth.
Sometimes side by side.
Sometimes side by side. And I've never felt like I've never felt like you've stolen a sale from me, because what happens is people like flip it as, oh, it's this guy too. So they'll bring it over to get signed, and then I can jump into if you like that book, I have other books. I have other
Which you'd think is what the publisher argument would be.
Yeah,
the more you point at other work that you're involved in, the better it is for us.
So I see it as like the best advertisement they could get.
Yeah.
Like I could give them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another publisher who will remain nameless because one day I'd like to work with them again, but they had a contract stipulation that I could never mention another publisher that I worked with in an interview.
That's weird.
Right?
That's
like, so that if
jealous.
So if you're asked, like, what are you working on next, and it isn't their book, you're not allowed to mention it.
That's the same thing in media, in the news as well. We're not allowed to report. I don't work in news anymore, but when we did, we weren't allowed to report on other media outlets' properties. Like there was a story about a country music station that DJ who did something interesting, and I was writing a story about it.
Interesting, you mean problematic? Or
no, it was like they helped somebody find some cool thing or something.
Okay.
Like went on the radio and said, do this. Anyway, whatever. And I wrote a story and interviewed the guy about it. And it was somebody I knew because I work in radio. And then I'm getting ready to publish my story, and my boss is like, don't mention the radio station. Like, well, that's what happened. I'm reporting on what happened. And they were like, no, we're not gonna just say a radio station. You don't say the actual radio. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's silly. It's really silly to be jealous.
So silly.
It doesn't mean anything. It's like we don't want to give them the other time at the time of day. We don't acknowledge their presence.
This goes back to when I was but a young lad reading the letters pages of Marvel Comics.
Oh, yeah.
And they would never say DC Comics, but they would say the distinguished competition.
Oh,
right.
I kind of like that.
Right. Well, it's DC, right? They're saying it without saying it.
Yeah.
And I suspect it's something related to what you're talking about, like how that became.
Well, that seems a little nicer, though. Distinguished, at least.
Yeah, right. Distinguished, yeah. It was usually in relation to, isn't this character you've just introduced exactly like a DC character? And they'd say, no, well, the distinguished composition is different than Marvel, So they were always doing each other's homework.
Or felt time slow on a dull day and wished that we could speed things up a bit.
Now, the people who understood what Kickstarter was, who got it, got crowdfunding, they were excited by the notion that, some of your books are on Kickstarter. So there was also the other side of the spectrum, which was people really excited and create their own stuff. One question I got asked quite pointedly by by this, I don't know how to describe it, like a fox-faced older woman who was just like, I felt like if I got the answer wrong, there would be an ancient curse attached or whatever happened next. But she said, and this kind of connects to what you're saying, Lyndon. She said, well, what happens to the rights of all the people, all their stories? How long do they have to?
She's read some of the contracts that.
She must have.
Yeah.
And I said, well, what we're really happy to do in our project is have everyone can do whatever they want with their story forever, starting now. Like there's no strings attached at all. And she said, well, how is that? She followed up with a cagey kind of like, well, isn't that bad business practice? Don't you want to have some of that control? And I said, for what reason would I, as a creative person, want to exploit another creative person's work? I would never be able to get any more of it. The good business practice is if you think it has value, do right by them so they want to work with you again.
That's how we did business. Dead Work would have happened, and Dire Beast would have never
happened because everyone in Dead Work would have warned everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's wild times.
Yeah, I found interactions were either people who love Kickstarter and are always excited about finding new projects and being on it. people who absolutely hate Kickstarter because they've been burned in the past. One couple, like they bought a 3D printer for like over $1,000 and the company just went poof. And
I talked to them too. They talked to me about that.
So they were burned. So these were the people that loved the fact that I think we made the joke, like, if we don't fulfill, you can come back and knock our booth over next year. They love that. They're holding us to it.
Oh, okay.
And
They had a big light up pillar, which I pointed to when you and they really liked the idea of knocking.
And what percentage were you at on the Kickstarter?
we were like, we were 40 when we went to the show, and we were at like 60 something.
Oh, that's good.
And I feel like, I know everybody was advertising online.
Yeah,
just the amount you, me, and Scott Ford were talking about it at the show, I feel like had like a very direct effect on it. So I'm very excited that we have at least one more convention during the campaign.
Did you have people actually like scanning the QR code and signing in the moment and actually buying it right there?
Yeah.
Which I started with, like, kind of goading people to do that, but there's too much in the campaign for people to do that, like, in front of the booth.
It's a snap judgment on something you shouldn't make a step. You shouldn't make a Kickstarter backing as a snap judgment.
Right.
So Justin very eloquently started saying to people, this is what we'll offer you. Take a picture of this poster, check it out on your own. If you back it and show me that you backed it, then we'll give you a free print or a free book or whatever.
There's a lot of people sending people away with the Kickstarter and then coming back later.
Oh, okay. There you go.
No pressure.
Yeah. I didn't like that. Like, read our 18-page campaign while at my booth and decide right now.
Yeah.
And in front of your booth.
Yeah.
And read it.
Yeah, I don't want that.
Else comes close to the table.
I don't want that either.
So there are some kinks to work out with how best to approach it, but I think a real tangible way was saying to people like, thank you, and here's something of value right now. Mm-hmm. So that at the very least, if they're nervous about it, they know they've gotten something of value right there.
And then the third group are people who don't use Kickstarter and are not very interested in signing up for the app, putting all their information into the account just to back this
That's right.
book.
One gentleman said to me, I would back this if it's one button.
Yeah.
Do I just have to click yes and then it'll take my money, or do I have to make an account? Yeah. Right? Exactly. There's such account weariness.
Yeah, that's true. Although you can usually use Facebook to do everything now.
Yeah, you can do it through Google or through Facebook.
Right.
But
they made this movie. It's called Summer War. You should watch it.
Right.
Sign in with your Oz account.
Most of the, you guys have mentioned that one before. Yeah. There was enough people that were enthusiastic about it that you felt good about doing it. So
overall,
more people were familiar with Kickstarter and had purchased before, and so that's Kickstarter. That's credit to Kickstarter for doing that and kind of creating that ecosystem.
And crowdfunding in general.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
It's very commonplace these days.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say?
I don't know. Were you going to be salty about how many big publishers use Kickstarter now? I'm a little salty.
Is that how does that happen?
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Dragon Nanny was launched the same day as Keanu Reeves' comic.
Well, is that a big publisher?
Boom, yeah.
Oh, Boom, yeah.
Now, no shade on Keanu Reeves.
Well, I mean, I don't think you need a Kickstarter for that, though. Come on, that kind of stuff you can sell. That's the difference between Kickstarter and regular marketing, right? You don't need.
What's the top book on Kickstarter right now is it's not Spawn, but it's another big property that's relaunching,
a marketing master property.
Something
maybe because comics are not as popular as they once were, and they are becoming kind of niche. That people really want to sell a specific story, they have to do it on Kickstarter. Maybe the big comics publishers won't do certain stories or something like that, or I don't know.
My theory is that the Kickstarter market has become so large now that publishers are trying to capitalize on the people that are already there and go there for comics to now essentially create a pre-order system that for a book that's going to get made regardless of whether or not you're backing it on the Kickstarter. Whereas the origin of Kickstarting was crowdfunding, so you needed these people to get the book made.
Yeah. And if you're a big publisher and someone explains to you that once they've purchased the item, you can continue to be in touch with them about further items you have for sale, that I'm sure excites the big publishers.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Sell more of what's selling.
Stores don't do what I love about Kickstarter is those reward tiers. Right?
Yeah.
This tier, you're getting the book, and you're getting a print, and you're getting a lanyard, and you're getting this, that, and the other. And if you want to be part of the project, you can get a tier for that too, and your name gets in it, and you get to design a character, and that is, as far as I know, fairly a new concept. So if you're an existing publisher and like, oh, we get to make this like reward where you get like a whole bunch of our books and a bunch of other stuff that we've made in the past that people usually aren't interested in. Like that reward tier is kind of an exciting new thing to play with.
Mm-hmm. And traditional publishers don't do that.
No.
Well, and since Sanderson
By the book.
blew the doors off Kickstarter stuff with all his novels going on to there, I think it changes the landscape of how traditional publishers are looking at it. You know, it's not a $1,000s industry now; it's a $millions industry. So, you know, I think that's what's up.
Do we want to briefly touch on? There was a bit of hot goss at the Comic-Con.
You had me at briefly touch, but I guess we could talk about
about how to maybe professionally handle things.
Oh.
Something always happens at these conventions.
Yes? Which one are you talking about?
There was an alleged theft of artwork.
Oh, yeah. So this is a public service announcement to anyone who feels they are an aggrieved party in any arena at all. I think make sure that all relevant facts to the case have been reviewed carefully before you decide to take anybody's personal information, blame them for your problems, and put that personal information for random strangers to then react to online.
Very similar to our Winnipeg story, where there was like a misunderstanding and people's feelings were hurt, but then they went online to grieve.
I remember this, yeah.
Yeah, to put it all out there. And these kinds of posts have a tendency to go a little more viral than normal, so a lot more people are going to see it.
I mean, that's obviously why people do it. It works. It gets a huge amount of attention. If you feel hurt, you want...
It escalates things past a conversation to now, people are getting banned and kicked out.
So what is it that actually happened at this convention?
Well, I guess we can talk about it vaguely, because we don't have
we don't know the news.
Of the case. All we know is that, and this has happened at a number of different shows. We've seen versions of this where someone will say, I'm an artist, this is my work. That person over there at the booth is selling work that's very similar to mine. Could you please ask them not to do that?
Like basically just kind of took the pose and colors and everything and did like their version. Just like copied one for one their homework.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And I remember you guys talking about this before. There was another story, I think it was Calgary, you're talking about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens, but also, I would point, if I could, at the, last 60 years of Spider-Man comics where everyone's copying everybody else's homework also, right? It's just, in a certain genre space, there are only so many ways to pose a character or to tackle the same subject matter. And sometimes people end up at the same place without any collaboration or even looking at each other at all. And then other times someone will claim to be the rights holder of a work that somebody else is also selling. And I believe this was the case in Ottawa. And the onus is, of course, on the rights holder to prove that they are the rights holder. And if you cannot prove that, there is no action that can be taken by anybody.
Right.
Because the blowback is quite significant if you're wrong. Like if I think that you are selling copies of my book at your booth and I can't prove it and I make a big stink out of it and they kick you out and then it turns out, no, I just don't like you.
Yeah.
Right? Then who's liable?
Mm-hmm.
A very big show is liable and they don't want to be sued because they have assets, right? So you can't get yourself into a liability argument. You have to have proof. They can take actionable proof, and I've seen it happen at those shows.
What's the better way to go? Just to wait and talk about it afterwards?
Yeah.
Mention it after the fact? Don't do it in the middle of the con?
Yeah, you're not going to change things at the convention. Unfortunately, justice is slow.
Yeah.
Right? Justice is slow. And if you really are, trying to do something right, then you have to go through the proper channels, and the court of public opinion isn't the one. Now, if someone's touching your friend at the show, by all means, go on the court of public opinion and out,
Sure.
Right? But we're not talking about someone's personal safety here that is often ignored or neglected. We're just talking about, I think your art looks like mine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You should be kicked out.
I hereby arrest Edward Abramovich, also known as Eisenheim the Illusionist, on charges of disturbing public order, charlatanism, and threats against the Empire.
I believe it was like it's fan art. It wasn't even
original character. Okay.
Yeah, it was like you draw. I don't know what it was, but like you drew this Pokemon, like I drew this Pokemon.
Okay.
I'm mad at you.
And I mean, they all kind of look the same.
Yeah, and again, like this is probably a conversation that could be had between these two parties. They didn't need to get organizers involved, and then they were really upset that the organizer didn't like immediately kick this other person out. And they were really upset by this. And again, like we've done a lot of conventions. The fact that the organizers actually stepped in to talk to anybody and cared even a little bit says a lot about like how well this show is run and the people actually gave a shit.
But when people are angry, they say all kinds of things, I guess. And the internet loves an underdog story.
Yeah, and they love like just negativity grows on the internet.
So this, explosive outbursts online now resulting in this person will never be able to attend these shows again.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, they went overboard. They said some things they should not. They posted some information that should not have been posted about people in the organization.
Just don't do that.
So
I
even if let's just play. Let's give all the benefits of the doubt. Even if a show organizer heard you, didn't care at all about your plight, and did nothing about it, you're going to look up their personal information and put it online?
Yeah, it's awful. No,
fuck you. Right? You're not in the right. Your moral high ground has evaporated.
Crumbled.
Yeah.
I'm just not a big fan of complaining online about anything. Like generally, I try to keep things positive when I post about stuff, and I just find that
unless it's about the Acolyte.
Well, that's a piece of shit. Although I just talked about my podcast about it. I guess that is a post technically, but no, it's not going to get you anywhere to do that, right? And just complaining if there's nothing you can do. Like, what are you looking for? You're just looking for sympathy. You're looking for people to say, "Yeah, that sucks," and that's it. That's really all you're going to get out of that, right?
Yeah. This is a thing that I see all the time on the internet, especially in comics, but it's equally applicable to conventions. Don't complain about someone that you want something from. Like if you want to work for a publisher, don't complain about them. If you want to exhibit at a convention, don't complain about them.
Yeah.
Like what do you think is going to happen? You're going to publicly shame the convention into liking you?
Yeah.
It makes no sense. No. By the way, that unnamed publisher, still love you, still great. Still like that together.
No, but it's you have to like think about those things before you do this, and I think that a lot of people don't. I think that's the problem is that people just kind of their instinct is to go negative, and they're angry, and they're just going to vent to the internet, and that's the problem, right?
Yeah, I don't know what the takeaway is, except don't do it.
Yeah,
unless it's like,
don't bring your grievances to a public forum. It comes off as challenge.
Change your art next year. Do something different next year, so you're not the same as that person.
Yeah, up your game. Be better.
Yeah, or if you feel like you are really the aggrieved party and no one will ever listen to you at all, seek advice from people who know a little bit more than you and ask for that advice from professionals.
Sure.
The internet will give you lots of advice, right? But people can say anything they want online.
Yeah, depends which corner of the internet you go to looking for advice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now, the only corner of the internet you should be looking at right now is our Dire Beasts on Kickstarter. I tried to figure out how to steer this back to a positive conversation.
Anything else about Ottawa? It was just like sales and attendance wise, it was really up this year. They had all four of the Hobbits.
I was going to say, I wish every show had 4 Hobbits.
Yeah. So all 4 of the main Hobbits were there. The crowd was nonstop. Greg and I were like slammed in the booth. Ottawa is it's always a good show, but it's usually a show that we can do on our own and take bites of food every once in a while. But that was not the case this weekend. We were like nonstop all 3 days. Like we needed help.
Yeah, help would have been good.
It was hard to do it
I needed you
ourselves. Yeah.
But there's also a self-selecting that goes on. If you have a bunch of big celebrities, people will decry, oh, well, the shows are all about the celebrities or whatever, right? Whatever the case, I wish those 4 Hobbits were at every show I was at. They are, from the back end side, from people, we know some of the show organizers who told us they were just absolutely delightful to deal with, right? So that's great. It means they're not so high on their own celebrity that they make strange demands. But then the crowd loves them. They're crowd pleasers. And people came out in droves to see them. And if they could afford $150 meet and greet signing thing, you know, they've already self-selected themselves into a demographic of disposable income, which I will
definitely cost more than that for those four.
Yeah, I don't know.
Way more than $150.
So yeah,
Maybe $150 for one of them.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
500 for all four.
I don't do that. We meet our celebrities in the green room. We don't.
That's why you got to do.
They don't let us in the
That's cool. Well, hobbits are always a big draw. Remember, they had the hobbits from the Hobbit movies. Dwarves, thank you. Sorry, the dwarves from the Hobbit movies, ironically. But yeah, they were a big draw in Winnipeg.
We went dancing with them after that.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, they asked us where to go, and so yeah,
That's awesome.
We took the dwarves out. Yeah, and one of them said, the one dwarf who shall remain nameless said, "If you post any of these pictures with me, don't do it until tomorrow." I told my wife I went back to the hotel.
That's good.
In other convention news, the Regina Comiccon was canceled this year.
Oh,
Yeah, it's 3 weeks away? Less than? Yeah.
that's not a good sign.
They sent out an email while we were in Ottawa.
But I
canceling.
thought that the canceling was related to like a personal.
I think one of the organizers is
I think there's a personal tragedy.
yeah.
Now, we don't know that for a fact. That is 100% hearsay. But it seems like if it wasn't something serious, right?
This close to the show, it's
official.
yeah. So you were able to cancel your B&B,
Yeah.
and cancel your logistics. However, my B&B was non-refundable. So what I've been doing is I'm going to move it to the show's next year slot, like just move it ahead of you.
Oh, can you do that? Okay.
Apparently.
No money back, but you can change the dates anytime you want.
Exactly. Yeah, that was unfortunate, and that really doesn't happen often. It's so it's kind of a big deal when it does.
That's a really late in the game to cancel something.
Yeah, so it, like you said, it has to be.
Yeah, they would have lost deposits and stuff for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one thing at least, so some shows will take your deposit and
Move it.
whether you're in or not.
Oh, okay.
So you you want a booth, you want an end cap, yeah, it's $1,200 or whatever, and they'll take that money, and then a week before the show happens, they'll say, "Oh, you didn't get in." So they've
Money back.
they've carried that from say 1,000 vendors. They've taken everyone's deposits for a whole year, had it interest free, and then at the end, all their overbooking, they give back the money, but only then.
Mm-hmm.
So you may have booked your flight or booked your thing, or assuming
You won't know until
you won't know until it's way too late. Yeah. So Wild West out there, people.
Ah, yes, your father.
I didn't think he was invited.
I feel like that's going to change sometime soon in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to crack down on that.
Yeah.
Seems like it's a little bit of an unfair way to be doing business.
Yeah.
They haven't cracked down on Ticketmaster. They're not cracking down on conventions.
Taylor Swift, could you please start coming to comic conventions so that the change we need will occur?
Mm-hmm.
It's the only way. Right? Can you imagine? Yeah. Oh, my God. If she had been Dazzler, we would have had it. It would all be solved. Thanks a lot, Ryan Reynolds. You let us down. The rumor was she was going to be Dazzler in the new Deadpool movie.
Why?
I don't know. I guess she was seen on set.
Oh,
She's friends with Blake Lively.
okay, but why would you put her in the movie?
Dazzler.
No. No, the question is why? Do you guys remember Ed Sheeran in Game of Thrones? That just felt awful.
Was that him?
Yes, it was horrible.
Wasn't that The Witcher? No.
No, it was Game of Thrones. Anyway, I don't know. I just think that when you have major celebrities like that, it just takes me out of the story. I just can't. Unless it's like they're an actor that you're obviously expecting to be in the movie. I don't know. He's my...
Wait, you don't feel that Hugh Jackman is a major celebrity?
No, he is.
Right.
So I'm just saying that for a bit part like that, Taylor Swift would be just
Cameo.
Oh,
Yeah.
for a cameo.
Yeah.
I see.
Especially when they're not actors. And
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I really meant.
Oh, and it would have made the movie so much
The
more
movie's
money.
fine.
And it would have made them so much more money
Yeah.
if she was in it.
No.
We're not about that here. We're about artistic integrity. Isn't that right?
Sure.
Isn't that right?
Until you start making
Please
money.
back our Kickstarter, Dire Beast. You can find it by going to Kickstarter.com and entering Dire Beast until October 3rd.
October 3rd. Yeah, it's been really fun working in the book. We talked about this in the last podcast about the consideration of everybody. it's been a really good project to work on. Everybody's got their files in. Everybody did things correctly. I am, however, very excited to go back to my own books where I'm in control of everything. It's it's this like added layer of stress, not letting other people down. So I'm very excited to get back to my own books.
I don't feel let down by you at all. Done a good job.
Just you wait.
You haven't seen the book yet.
Yeah.
I was amazed you were doing so much work on your birthday as it was. So good
Files
job.
are due. Yeah.
Good job. Lyndon, is there a lesson to be learned from having finished work available and sharing it around and submitting it in other places? Is there something you do differently, something you would have asked for if you had known? You're submitting, you have a short for the sake of context. It's a short.
We own these comics. We can talk about whatever we want, Gregory.
Yeah, we can. But that's what I'm trying to say is like, just give the reader some context. You made some short comics work. You had an opportunity to put it in an anthology. You didn't like the terms of that anthology. Is that going to stop you from sending it to other anthologies, or how does it change?
No, so the reality of this specific opportunity was that we were given the chance to submit to this anthology, but the anthology, it was sort of the 11th hour of the production of this book. So files were due in, a month from now, and so we sent in a pitch, and the publisher liked it, like a brand new idea. The publisher liked it, but they said, it's a pretty big idea you've got here. We'd really like the stories in this specific book to be a little more done in ones, closed, less open-ended.
No secret first issues.
Right. And we said, well, we have this other work that we're already in the middle of producing. So we have a finished script. We have half the art is finished. It is very clearly a done in one story.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, this is great. Like we showed it to them and they loved the idea. They were like, yeah, we can totally fit this into the anthology. And I said, okay, well, before you could have it, I need to know what the exclusivity rights you're looking for are as a publisher, because the reason it's this far along is because we already are planning to print it in our own self-published collection of comics.
So an idea just occurred to me, since I know the contents of this work, and I know you're not technically allowed to give direct legal advice, but with your experience and training, should we get a exclusion of liability for Jonathan Ball, who is satired in the story?
We definitely need to get Jonathan Ball to sign a document that says
it's okay
that we are allowed to use his name and partial likeness in this short comic that we're making about a screenwriter named Jonathan Ball.
All right.
Yeah. And I mean, Jonathan's fully aware of this comic.
He helped brainstorm it in the first place.
He thinks it's really funny and is looking forward to reading it. But we should probably sign something. And, in the copyright page, there's usually a clause that says any likenesses and names are purely coincidental.
Yeah. And we'll have a little bracket
to review that.
Yeah. Except Jonathan Ball.
Except for Jonathan Ball. Yeah.
He's a real person.
And has agreed to this and will not be receiving any royalties for it.
Oh my God.
But no, so we're excited to have that. And to this publisher's credit, again, would love to work together in the future. We said, and they agreed with, okay, this doesn't sound like the right fit for this story then, because it's good and we understand you wanting to do something with it. And the timelines are just so short that we probably can't make something work in this specific book. But we'd like to work together on something in the future and stay in touch and keep sending us stuff, and we'll circle back as opportunities arise.
Context: what kind of story would you give a publisher a 5-year exclusive on?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Because it's standard. It's pretty common. And I've been in that position. I've signed that contract before. I know what it's like.
I mean, really, it could be any story as long as you don't have plans for 5 years.
Right.
As long as you don't want to do anything with it.
So we actually pivoted to some of the other works that we have in production and said, if you're interested in a book like this, and I would show them a book, we'd be happy to discuss you publishing this. We have the full rights to it. This is sort of what we had envisioned. And if our timelines for this match your timelines for this, then we're totally into that. I do think that in general, 5 years is very reasonable as an exclusivity. If you're talking about like a a full graphic novel, like a 140-page graphic novel, and a publisher wants to step in and say, we're going to help you fund and print this book, and we just ask that you don't take it to someone else for 5 years, that's very reasonable. That's a great clause. The only reason it didn't work in this very specific scenario is because it was something we were already making that already had a home. So I would definitely, for the general listener, someone who's submitting to a publisher, if they're offering 5, 7 isn't even insane in those circumstances, year exclusivity window, I don't think that's something to turn your nose up at if the rest of the agreement is good. Like if you're keeping your rights and the media rights are split really well, maybe they're letting you buy in on the print run. Like if there's all these other benefits that the fact that they have a sunset clause in this contract is a positive. I've had contracts where
lots don't. For the length of the copyright, which is like my life plus.
Yeah. So this is does give it back.
It's a great clause as a general rule. So no shade on them for having that at all. I really hope they've made it to the end of this episode and not turned off before this so they can hear me saying this. It's a great clause and definitely worth doing. You just need to know, you need to have a vision for what the work is and what your plans are for it. And if I'm going to, especially if they're going to be buying into the print run and I'm going to buy 1,000 copies to begin with, it's going to take me 5 years to sell that anyway. That's all I was going to do with the book. So no shade on that at all. So the short answer is just, there's nothing wrong with it if you have a plan for that project, and what they're suggesting matches your vision for what you see happening.
So if you have a book of your own, you can put it on Kickstarter. You can get some backers. You can maybe crowdfund it. You can seek a publisher who also shares your vision of it. Those two paths are very different, dear listener, and we have very much enjoyed sharing them with you. This has been Super Pulp Science. This is Gregory Comiccon encouraging you to join the fight and make comics.